Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Aranya chapter number 32. Surpanakha seeks Ravana. The recitation begins now. Khara, Dushana, the captains of the hosts and the 14,000 Rakshasas were wiped out of existence by Rama in the twinkling of an eye. Surpanakha saw it all and roared with fury. And fear overcame her at that marvelous deed. Bursting with grief, she fled to the capital of Ravana and stood in the presence of her brother as he sat on his gem-encrusted throne in the Vimana named Pushpaka that shone like the sun. His ministers and counselors stood behind him even as the Maruts surround Indra, and he shone in the splendor of his might, even as a flaming fire on a golden altar fed with continuous offerings. Unconquerable in battle by devas, gandharvas, rishis, or other created beings, he resembled the great destroyer as he speeds open-mouthed to swallow the entire creation. His body was one mass of scars from wounds inflicted by the Vajra, the thunderbolt, and other weapons of the Devas and by the disc of Lord Vishnu. His breast bore marks of where the elephants that support the world tore at with his tusks that shone like 16 moons full arrayed. 10 heads had he, twice 10 hands, a huge chest, long muscular arms, white teeth, and a cavernous mouth. Endowed with every mark of royalty, his earrings shone like the sun and the moon. Like a lofty mountain sat he, as his favorite attendants crowded about him with priceless umbrellas, chamaras, and flags. He could shake to its very depths the unfathomable ocean. With him to think was to achieve. He could play with huge mountains as balls. He was a terror of the devas, the destroyer of dharmas, and violent abductor of other women. And he concentrated in himself the force and energy of the divine and infernal astras. Ever busy with desecrating sacrificial rites, he repaired to Bhogavati, the capital of the Nagas, conquered Vasuki, the ruler thereof, and carried away the favorite wife of Takshaka. He went to Mount Kailasa to defeat Kubera and deprive him of Pushpaka, the Vimana that obeyed the least thought of its owner. One day he waxed wroth and laid in ruins Chaitra Ratha and Nandana, the marvelous pleasure gardens of Kubera and Indra. He could stay with his hands the sun and the moon as a rose in the sky, for huge as the peak of Mount Meru was he. Once he sat in stern tapas for 10,000 years and offered his 10 heads in the fire to propitiate Brahma, in return whereof he got a boon that death should not approach him through devas, danavas, gandharvas, pisachas, patagas, and uragas. Puny mortals he counted not. He delighted in destroying sacrifices when the brahmanas were about to close them with deep draughts of soma, or when at the finish the priests received their fees. Cruel beyond words, wicked, the torturer of brahmanas, relentless of heart, and utter stranger to pity or friendship, he was a holy terror to all beings. He ever sought the ruin and misery of the worlds, and struck dire dismay into the hearts of all creatures. He was the most brilliant representative of the line of Pulastya, rich in everything the heart could desire, of inconceivable strength. He was the death incarnate of his foes. He was a time that destroys time, and looked death from his large eyes that blazed like flames. Priceless garments, garlands, and jewels adorned his person. He sat on his throne, dread and majestic, among his ministers and followers. And him the famed lord of Lanka, the Surpanakha, approached, for he was her brother. For, albeit she could course through the worlds fearless and unimpeded, she was confused with her fear of Ravana. Then she drew the attention of Ravana to the insult and outrage to which he had been subjected, and pierced his heart with cruel taunts. Mangalam Kushlindraya Mahani Gunapti Chakravarti Dhanurjaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam.